Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Since 2003, we've been connecting buyers and sellers, providing access to sold-out events at prices lower than most secondary market options. Whether it's sports, theater, or concerts, our massive nationwide network ensures you get the tickets you want, guaranteed. For the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. That's TICKETLIQUIDATOR.com. Ticket Liquidator.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious. Find your blend at hempdelicious.com.
Frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about
comic books, costumes,
facts, boots,
and other stuff.
In this week's issue, the Fantastic Four meet Galactus.
Welcome into Bros, Foes, and Heroes. I'm Zach, joined as always by the malleable one,
Ooh.
Mr. Mike. See, I got this one right because this week we are covering a story that malleable works.
Dr. Fantastic.
Mr. Fantastic.
Sure.
I mean, I think maybe
Professor
Reed
Fantastic.
He is a professor. So I have been inspired by...
It sounds so much better than like adjunct Fantastic.
Adjunct Professor Fantastic.
Yeah,
well, yeah,
Professor Fantastic. That sounds terrible.
Why would? But he would have tenure though. Remember, tenure is very big in comics.
Not at adjunct, I don't think.
No.
You can't get
But
tenure
that's
at
why
adjunct.
he would be
Yeah.
a full-on professor, so he could get tenure.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
This is.
I
Bros.
like to think he's still working for it. You know, like
Still?
they haven't really gotten there yet.
Still, he's
I
been
know
at it
you-
since like
I
'61.
know
He
you
still
blew
can't
up in
get tenure.
space and all, but come on, you got to be published. That kind of thing, you know.
All you guys did was still a rocket.
That's
Is
right,
that
you just
really
stole a rocket.
something that?
As a matter
If
of
you
fact, it's a
hadn't,
felony.
you can go back. I guess before we get it, this is Bros, Foes, and Heroes.
Hey.
I'm Zach. This is Mike. Each week we will cover a either comic book character or a story. This week it's going to be a story, and a good one that I enjoyed and one that we haven't talked about yet. And I got inspired because the new trailer was released for the Fantastic Four movie coming out later this year.
Yeah.
And I was excited about it. I have a soft spot in my heart for Fantastic Four as a comic. I could stand
See a doctor about that.
yeah, I could stand to read a lot more of it, but it is the thing to me that kind of made Marvel, like turned it into what it was. Without the success of the Fantastic Four, I don't think everything else gets to where it is.
Well, it's absolutely true, especially at that time.
Yes.
Yeah, because they were like the perfect.
Yeah. And I mean, by all accounts, it's the last ditch effort that they had to try like superhero stuff.
Yeah.
And it was because the DC at the time had started making, I think it was the Justice League comics about combining all their characters together. And Martin Goodman, who was the head and owner of Timely Comics, or they might have been Marvel at the time, or right before they changed that. Yeah, no, they were. Anyway, that's not the point.
Whatever.
The part is that Martin Goodman owned it, and brings the idea to Martin Goodman.
Oh,
not Mark.
not the
Martin.
guy who slimed people on Nickelodeon.
No,
Mark Goodman.
No, that was
Mark Goodman.
Was his last name Goodman?
Yeah, he was the one that hosted
Good
Family
Eats.
Double Dare.
And What Would You Do? And he was all over it.
Yeah, he was like
Isn't he
one of the main producers.
He doesn't
there.
like messy stuff too, right? Like,
yeah, he's the one that did the Family Double Dare where everybody gets slimed.
Yeah, but
at
he
some point.
himself, like, he's kind of like a monk.
I think him, like, he's fastidious. Is that what you're saying? Like,
what does
he's
that
very
mean? He doesn't like to get messy.
detail oriented. So he's like Howie Mandel. He's like a
yeah.
germaphobe kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
I remember a story, the weird way my brain works, and you didn't know. Mark Summers is his name, not Mark Goodman.
Mark Goodman. He was another one. I think Mark Good. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead with your story.
I remember my grandmother telling me, and obviously this was in like the early 2000s, so like the internet existed, but we still don't know how to fact check really well.
Yeah.
I remember her telling me that he was like this, and that he would put butcher paper on his wall because like his kids like not to put like get the walls messy, which I'm pretty sure he never did, but that's something that I remember. Mark Summers put butcher paper on his wall.
Mark Goodman was one of the original VJs at MTV.
Okay, maybe that's who you're thinking of, though.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking of. It was Nina Blackwood, Alan Hunter,
yeah.
J.J. Jackson, Martha Quinn, and Mark Goodman.
Okay, some of those names are familiar. Some
He's
of
old
them are
as
not.
hell now.
Dan Cortez came along later.
Dan Cortez
So
way later.
I always think of Dan Cortez, and I think of the Stefan bit on SNL. But so we are going to.
It has everything.
It has everything. My son. That
My
one,
son.
That one
He says
like,
it in that weird
voice.
Know,
or I always love that the password was like Phil Jackson yelling at Scottie Pippen. You know, Scotty.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
yeah.
man,
yeah.
I love those bits.
Yeah,
but so with the Fantastic Four trailer, as I tried to get us back on track, coming out, I was inspired to cover a story that it looks not obvious. I don't think this is the story we're getting. I don't know exactly. Obviously, the movie has the right to change it, but I thought we'd take a look at the first time in the comic books the Fantastic Four actually met Galactus, or the Galactus trilogy, which is covered in Fantastic Four issues number 48, 49, and 50. So we are going to cover those 3 issues today on our show and break down the first time, again, that the Fantastic Four ran amok of Galactus, who makes his appearance in...
he's a big boy.
He is. He makes his appearance in the trailer. Also, we will introduce, I think the first time we've talked about actually him in a story on our show, one of Mike's favorite characters in Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
And talk a little bit about the history there. The story that I've read, and I can't remember if it was, I feel I might be miscrediting it, but I read it in one of the books of the like Marvel history was, or somewhere. I don't remember. I've heard the story. Len Wein, Marv Wolfman. I feel like it was one of the two.
Mark Goodman?
No, not Mark Goodman. He was at MTV. No, it was still before this.
Nina Blackwood.
Maybe, I don't know. Somebody tells the story of somebody who told it to them or something, was that essentially the Galactus trilogy of Fantastic Four meeting Galactus, the Eater of Worlds, was essentially Stan Lee telling Jack Kirby, hey, I want to do a Fantastic Four story where the Fantastic Four meet God. Yeah. And that's essentially all Jack Kirby went off of. Yeah.
That's why he has heralds, and that's why, all of the...
Exactly. And that's the thing, too. I think that there's a little more into it of where, like, maybe Stan gave some more guidance of what they wanted to do. The one thing that for sure is I've heard from multiple people, even Stan himself, is that when he got the pages back from Jack for this issue, and this silver guy was like flying around, Stan was like, well, wait, who's this? Like, who is this? And that's where Kirby told him, well, I figured if Galactus is going to be a god, he should have like a herald that goes before him to tell them that, like, to go out and hunt things for him and to essentially like show that he's coming.
Well, and the thing about Galactus, I think when it finally made it to Marvel and all these things were done, is he wasn't God, he was a god, right? Because Galactus can still be defeated. Yeah. Yeah.
You'll see with this story.
It's not like a wrestling god in that wrestling comic we did.
No, but kind of. Okay. It's a cosmic god.
All right, let's see.
Here's the thing, without like there is obviously something that can get rid of Galactus. But it gets rid of like everything almost.
Okay.
We'll kind of get to all that.
Quit your yapping and let's start snapping.
Okay, fine. Let's get into it. You know what we get though that I do love out of all of this? I was gonna say that to throw some just a comic book history in there. So Jack Kirby created it. Stan Lee fell in love with the character. So much so to the point where eventually after like he loved it so much that he did a series of Silver Surfer. Like it got its own Silver Surfer because Stan wanted to write it and they got John Buscema to do the art for it.
It's so funny how they were best friends, then mortal enemies. Then they finally came back together.
I don't know if they were ever best friends.
But you know what I mean? Like
they were,
there for a while, anything he did, Stan Lee was like, holy crap, yeah, that's great. Let's do that.
No, that's true. That's true. But so let's go ahead.
They were like, walking through the park together.
No, I get that. Let me switch to my side now as we add in our comic. Because that way. Wow. No. So here we go. We have issue number 48 from, I guess I should have looked up the, I can tell you the writer Stan Lee, artist Jack Kirby on all these, which is fantastic.
What year is this?
That's what I'm trying to think. It's issue 48. I want to say it's like 64. No, 61 is when the first issue came out. I want to say it's either 64 or 65.
Okay.
I was gonna look it up real quick since we have computers here.
By the way, when you look up MTV VJs,
Mhm.
you get Martha Quinn, Nina Blackwood, JJ Jackson, Mark Goodman, Daisy Fuentes, Adam Curry, who I know, Alan Hunter.
Like personally?
I've met him a few times. He lives in Austin.
Oh, nice.
Cudus. Do you know who Cudus is?
I do not.
Quuddus.
All right,
What is
1966.
66? Okay, so a little later.
So yeah, so this came out in March, April, and May of '66. These 3 issues.
And that is the Watcher.
That
on
is the
front,
Watcher,
right? Okay.
Yes. Now I will tell you that by the time we've met the Watcher, or in this story, they've already met the Watcher before.
Okay.
But see, here we go. Yeah, Ryder Stanley, Penciler of the Year,
Oh,
Jack Kirby,
Penciler of
inker
the
Joe
Year.
Sinnott. Joe Sinnott does a lot of inking for the Fantastic Four, and he is like him on Kirby's artwork is just it pops so well. And then Artie Simek, also part of the cast for this.
I love how
But-
they feel like they have to throw Sensational with Silver Surfer in there also.
Oh, well, you gotta like
He
sell
is.
them a bit.
Yeah.
We close out one story before we get into the other Galactus story.
Okay.
I'm just gonna briefly blast through the first couple
please.
of pages here.
Yeah.
It's essentially the Inhumans. How familiar are you with
I'm
the
not
Inhumans at all?
super familiar with the Inhumans, but I think as Marvel movie watchers, we are about to get very cozy with the Inhumans.
So they made a TV show for
Yeah.
them not too long
yeah,
ago.
I believe it's about to come to the MCU as well.
Oh, okay. So it's a group of like without getting into the Inhumans, we'll cover them a different time. The Fantastic Four were there trying to help them. They're essentially Johnny has a relationship with one of the Inhumans. He kind of falls in love with named Crystal. But the Inhumans are battling a guy named Maximus, who realizes that he's wrong and to like kind of still figure out a way to win with his master plan. Tries to trap all of the Inhumans away, like all together away from the rest of society.
Gotcha.
So when he does it, the Fantastic Four are able to escape, but there's no way for them to get back in. So Johnny is without Crystal, and obviously he's a little bit heartbroken by this.
Sure.
So he's dealing with a lot of emotional weight from that. That is essentially the only part of that story you need to know for this.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Got
So I
it.
just tried to make it quick. But so
There he is.
yeah, there he is. So they're done with the Inhumans. Our Fantastic Four is when we are introduced to the Silver Surfer.
Kal-El? No, what was his
That's
name?
Superman's
Yeah,
name.
what's his name?
Norman Rad?
Rad. That's it. Yeah.
Right, Rad.
But
Yeah.
the his girlfriend,
Oh, it starts with an S.
she's the one that's going to be in the actual movie.
Hold on, man. I should have,
Shonda.
what's it? Shonda?
Shonda.
No, there's another name.
Shonda. She lives over on 3rd Street.
Man.
She's great.
I love how
She teaches CPR on her off days
yeah, Norrin Rad is the Silver Surfer's real name. What's her?
over at the YMCA
What is the
with the one on the other
not
side.
Shala Ball? Who?
That is
Yeah.
Shawball.
Shala Ball.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. The only reason I know that is because I watch that dude who does all the reviews of the trailers as they come out.
Oh yeah. Those are good to
He
find
teaches me.
Easter eggs and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do see
Got a weird voice.
we do see the Silver Surfer here, our first introduction. And he's like
look
going
at
through
that
the cosmos.
sumbitch.
We get a lot of Jack Kirby Cosmos, which is some of my favorite Jack Kirby art to
Yeah.
look at.
Yeah.
The way he draws space, man.
A lot of scrolls.
Yep, you got the scrolls there, but here's what's interesting that I really like too that makes you feel like it's something like, oh, this is a big deal. The Silver Surfer is like flying through, and the head of the scrolls is like, turn off everything in our solar system now. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, we have like all this power. And he's like, no. That's the Silver Surfer. If he sees that we're here, like, that means Galactus he's leading them somewhere. We don't want him here.
Yeah.
That's the only time the scrolls appear in here, and it's to show you that like they want nothing to do with what's about to happen.
Yeah. He'll eat us.
Yeah. Well, it's not necessarily like an eat like you think.
I get it.
But no, I know you know. I'm just trying to explain to everybody. It's not like he's just like chomping down on them. The Fantastic Four, as they fly back into New York City there,
Wow.
the Thing notices that there's 2 suns in the sky.
Is
And
it all on fire?
it looks like that. It looks like the sky's on fire. It starts with 2 suns, and then it grows and it looks like the sky's on fire. I don't know why I talked with my hands like that. And they land and yeah, but the Human Torch is like, I gotta go like see how the city is and try to calm everybody down. And when he goes to do that, though, like the townspeople there are like, Oh, we skipped a page somehow.
You know,
There it
there's
is. It's out of
no
order.
better way to calm people down than set yourself on fire and fly to them.
So he like comes there and he's like, hey, everybody, calm down. And they just see the sky aflame and they're like, oh, that's got to be the Human Torch is doing, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
And so they like get a fire hose and they like blast him with the fire hose.
Then you start throwing bricks at him.
Yeah, and they start throwing bricks at him, and he like falls and he like catches himself on the light post, and he's able to save himself.
Just like a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
Exactly, after winning the Super Bowl. But the angry mob is trying to get to him though, because they think he had something to do with it. The thing, even though him and Johnny constantly are butting heads and fighting with one another,
they're still on the same team.
Yeah, they're still the same team, still family. He's like, I got to go save my little buddy, and he kind of falls off the Fantastic Four jetpack thing that they're riding. And comes down with this classic, it's clobbering time as he lands.
I thought that said it's clabbering time, like, you know, the stuff you get off the top of the milk.
No, is that clabber? Oh, that sounds disgusting.
I think it's clabber.
It says, and now, as my dear old Aunt Petunia might have said, it's clobbering time. Yeah.
Clabber is a type of sour milk that's thickened and curdled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing
is, clabbering time. That's a different superhero.
No, I do not like
milk
that.
Products at you.
It's probably a cow superhero. How do you?
I will sour your cream.
How do you onomatopoeia that?
What?
That
what
sound.
I just did?
Yeah.
Is a lot of F's and a T right at the end.
Okay.
Those
are F noises?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you put them together, they are.
Fair enough. The thing goes and saves Johnny.
Z's, you know, right out the bat.
Mm-hmm.
But the American language is a weird thing. You know, we've taken pieces from every culture.
Yeah, that's
very together.
True.
So now it's just a bunch of F's and a T.
Wow. We really do just kind of.
It's all about education, Zach.
Yeah. I don't think we rank too high on that anymore. Anyway,
Plinkink.
The Thing comes and saves Johnny. There's some tough guy who tries to beat him up, and it doesn't work well.
Yeah, what you should do is punch a guy who's made out of rocks.
Yeah, everybody, he's always like, and I got to agree with the Thing. He's like, there's always one guy.
That's the thing I don't understand about football players. Why do they take swings at each other when their helmets are on?
Yeah, I don't know.
It makes no sense.
Well, remember Brian Cushing, who played for the Texans? I don't know if you remember or not. He headbutted a guy with his helmet off and like
still a
cut
team?
himself. They made the playoffs, Mike. Anyway,
that's right.
We get more.
I forget that there's playoffs.
Yeah,
my team doesn't make it very often, so I forget about it.
We get more of the Silver Surfer as he's obviously looking for something as he's traveling through these galaxies. But we don't know what it is. And then it says that he finally finds what he has been seeking: a sun, our sun, a true G-type star. Instantly, he realizes that such a sun must contain among its satellites at least one planet with the energy and elemental resources so necessary to the great Galactus.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him yet.
Eat Pluto.
Well, no, Pluto's not as doesn't have as many resources.
Okay.
So they land back at the Baxter building, which is the Fantastic Four headquarters. And the Thing is on the phone with his girlfriend Alicia.
Yeah.
Do you know about his girlfriend Alicia?
No, I don't know about his girlfriend Alicia. I didn't know he had a girlfriend.
So,
she made out of rocks?
No, she's blind though.
I love how he holds that phone up to his head.
Well, I mean, how else do you hear it? But no, she's blind.
That's a giant phone too when you think about how big his.
I'm making sure. I don't want to keep repeating.
She's blind.
Okay.
I get it. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know if you are paying attention when you're on these rants or not.
Yeah, I get it.
But he's on the phone calling her to talk to her. Alicia, baby, are you okay? I told you I'd come back before you knew it. The way the Thing talks in these is just.
I told you I'd come back before you knew it.
I do love that the flames in the skies are gone and like the danger seems to be over. You would think that he would remember his wife, is what Sue Storm says. We're already by issue 48. I can't remember what issue they get married at. Dr. Doom tries to spoil the wedding. I do remember that.
And the weird thing is he steals Aunt May to do it, which is weird.
No, that was
it was
Doc Ock. Yeah. On Wednesday, on our World's Finest Wednesday, though, speaking of Dr. Doom, we're going to cover the first time we meet Dr. Doom. I figured we make it a Fantastic Four week.
Don't.
Exactly. But Sue and Reed are already fighting and bickering and not getting along with each other, which is kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
But he is like rude to her. He's like, for the love of Pete, girl. Like, she's like, you haven't eaten, you haven't gotten any rest. And he's like, is that why you're disturbing me? And she's like, well, I'm worried about you, Reed. And he just turns the TV off on her.
Oh, what a
like
bastard.
the thing, dude, this whole time, there's at one point in time, because I'll probably forget to say it, but I remember it right now. He tells her to like quit pussyfooting around in my laboratory. Like,
Really?
he just flat. So he's like, when I'm working here, you shouldn't be in here.
Oh wow.
Like, he's just an ass to her
Okay.
already by issue 48.
That's what she likes.
The flames have now been replaced in the sky by like this weird space
Look,
rubble
he's all
looking stuff.
unshaven too. He's all stubbly.
He's been working on stuff, trying to figure out what's going on.
He's a workaholic.
Yeah, and he got back. But so it's now like this thick, like we don't know space debris that's in the sky, and we don't know what's causing it.
Yeah.
Well, Sue finally has had enough of Reed's bullshit and busts through the door, and she's like, I need to talk to you. And he's like, Sue, darling, you can't come in now, not yet. And she goes, but you've been working for hours without food, without rest. I can't stand for it. You're my husband now, Reed Richards, and I want to keep you healthy. The world won't come to an end if you take time out for dinner. And Reed just very stoically says, I wish I could be so sure of that. What do you mean? And then about that time, we see, the Silver Surfer. Hold on. There we go. I'm sorry. I skipped ahead of page. These are out of order for some reason.
Yeah.
We are introduced then that the Watcher says, perhaps I can explain. And I love how Reed is just sitting there like arms folded. Like, I told you, now's not the time. I was talking to the Watcher here.
Yeah. Big melon head just standing there.
But the Watcher essentially says that Galactus is headed this way. I usually just watch and observe, but like I can't not do something here. Like he goes, the Silver Surfer, the danger is too great. Where's it this time? The Silver Surfer is on his way. He is the advanced scout for Galactus. Galactus, who drains entire planets of their elements and then leaves them dry, unable to support life.
Elephants?
I don't know. That's how he gets his powers. Elephants. I could not stand by and see this happen to Earth. That is why I am trying to conceal your planet from the Silver Surfer. For of all who inhabit the known universe, only Galactus has a power enough to match my own, is what the Watcher tells him.
Sure.
We find out the space debris,
just Does that like mean the Watcher is some sort of god?
Yes.
Okay.
Or like they're an ancient civilization kind of thing. That
sure. Okay.
I think that's how like Marvel. They've just been around longer than anybody else. They're like cosmic beings.
He likes to watch.
That's true. It's in his name. But the flames and the space debris were essentially the Watcher trying to block Silver Surfer from being able to find Earth. We find out
that makes sense.
But Silver Surfer and all of his power is still able to get through the debris. And it says, like, as the Watcher's grave concern is well warranted, like at that precise instant, the Silver Surfer penetrates the rocky barrier around Earth.
I don't like the sound of that.
Yeah. And so he comes in and Johnny like goes to like try to see what's up with him and like stop him. And the Silver Surfer dodges him. Like the Silver Surfer doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
And he just sits there and he lands on top of the building without saying a word and just outstretches his hand and like shoots out a beam of light from his hand that you see there. That's a beacon essentially to Galactus of like, here it is, come get it.
Sure.
So Thing goes and like punches him in the back and he just falls off the roof, doesn't try to save himself.
You are not going to find a cooler customer than Silver Surfer.
That's at least right now. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like he gets angsty,
very
right?
Angsty.
And he thinks inward a lot about his predicament and his job and what it actually means and all that kind of stuff. Never seen the guy like just blow up though.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
well,
he gets pissed off at Galactus.
But
I don't know that he's ever gotten pissed off at a planet or the people on a planet.
So do you know this story, Mike?
No.
Okay, it's funny that you say he gets pissed off at Galactus.
Okay, go for it.
Anyway. So he does send the beacon and they go to save him, but I don't know. He had fallen onto a roof and he's just kind of laying there. And the Watcher's like, it's too late. It doesn't matter. Like Galactus is already on his way.
He's already shot the beacon.
Yeah. He's like, I sense his universe spanning sphere entering Earth's atmosphere right now. And I love, this is the period where Kirby gets into like collage work on stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's
pretty awesome.
That is Galactus sending out his different like space or what is it called? His sampling. Where's he goes? It says he's sampling Earth's elemental composition, but like he's just sending out different ships and stuff. And the way they collage it over the city like that.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And then by that time they're like, oh, his gizmos are going back in the ship. Here he is. And he steps off and he gets down.
He's got his Christmas uniform on.
My journey is ended. This planet shall sustain me until it has been drained of all elemental life. So speaks Galactus. And that is the end of issue 48 there.
Go Big G.
Yeah, he is red and green. He's not going to be red and green anymore after this.
No, he turns purple.
He does turn purple.
Purple and green, right?
So, it's like a purple and blue.
Oh, okay.
So,
like the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Exactly. Well, not that kind of blue.
Oh,
They're not purple either.
Oh.
So not like the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sometimes I'm just like, yeah, while we're talking.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So this one, April there of 66 is where we continue.
Yeah.
Our story with the bearded Reed Richards and everybody in shock as Galactus, now purple. Yep. Shows up and then Galactus speaks and he goes, so it was you who conspired to hide this planet from me. I thought you were just a bunch of you're a watcher. Why are you trying to get involved? Do you dare try to get in the way of Galactus?
Yeah, you giant baby.
And he's like, heed my word, pillager of planets. This tiny speck of matter upon which you stand contains intelligent life. You must not destroy it. Galactus does not care.
No.
He's essentially like, I'm just here for...
That's the thing that people don't understand about Galactus. He's just doing his job.
He's
doing exactly what he was created to do.
That's the thing that you will find out, and it is brought up some. There is, I think the Watcher says later that it is not good or evil. The Galactus is above both.
He's like an element. He's just part of the universe.
He is. He just goes from planet to planet, and he sucks planets to a husk and then leaves. But it's because he needs that power to sustain him. It's not that he's finding. It's not like he's finding civilizations to wipe out. I think at some point in time, and I could be wrong, that a lot of times the planets that Silver Surfer finds for him are uninhabited planets.
Got it. Sure.
So when he sucks them dry, it's not
it blows, that this has got to be a thing, but it's a thing. It's what sustains these universes.
Yeah, and sustains Galactus here.
It's you know what I think of him as? Like a forest fire. A natural forest fire has to happen so that you can clear it and regrow. And that's kind of the same thing that Galactus does.
In a sense,
he's a cosmic forest fire.
It is.
Thank you very much. I'll leave now.
Nice. I think there's also talk of
long-time listener, first time.
There's multiple. You're right though. I think it goes in the story of kind of there have been multiple if there's multiple big bangs in the restarting of the universe, and in that Galactus always appears.
I've
there
just
always
never
has
seen
to be
the guy as a bad guy.
Yeah, no, but really that's the thing is there's always a version of Galactus because he has to exist for balance in a way.
The only thing I worry about in this new movie is that he is like the big villain.
Well, I think there's a way to do it. I mean, there is a way to do it that works.
I think Red Ghost is your real villain in this thing. But I think Galactus is just seen as a force of nature, is how he should be seen.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I like how they did the original trilogy here, but the Thing tries to stop him as he's talking because the Watcher's you gotta avoid these humans are worth it, and he's like, I don't care. He's like, I'm just here for. Yeah. I'm paraphrasing a lot of this, but it's also so you can read it and enjoy it too because it's
here
good.
For a good time, not for a long time.
It's really good. The Thing tries to stop Galactus and just punches him, and he's like, it had no effect on him at all. He's just walking it off.
Galactus, come on, shut up.
And this little, just that little pod thing just kind of falls off, and this gas just kind of
poof.
Yeah, it leaks out, and he's like, my eyes, my nose, what is it? What's happening? It's like, can't you tell? He's treating us like some sort of bothersome gnat. It's some type of cosmic insect repellent, essentially. Galactus just
sure.
Guys, just leave me alone. Yeah. It's brought up a lot.
He basically farted on him.
Yeah, he's just guys, come on.
Spell that.
So Mr. Fantastic rolls the Thing up in a carpet, and they go and they disappear. And Johnny tries to use his flame powers to attack him, and he sets essentially Galactus soaks in all of his energy and turns it back into beams out of his eyes that just smother John. It smokes him out kind of.
Yeah, good luck with that.
And he collapses down, and he can't
Storm.
Flame back on. And the Watcher tells him, "There's nothing more you can do. Return to the others." He's like, "You guys go. You're no match for Galactus.
Get out of here, kid. You bother me."
Well, but I mean, the Watcher is telling him to go too.
There's nothing. You're not going to beat this guy by yourself.
And so they get back, and Johnny's upset because Reed is shaving, and the Thing is taking a bath, just trying to nurse his wounds. And they're like, what are you guys doing? He's out there destroying the whole city. He's going to destroy our Earth. And they're like, we need to figure out what we're going to do before we just haphazardly go out there and do that. Then we need to have a plan of some sort with this,
absolutely,
some way to compete with this. We also get a cut back into the Silver Surfer.
Is that the blind girlfriend down at the bottom?
It is.
Okay.
That's why I told you about Alicia. So he lands on a roof, and whose roof does he happen to land on?
I think I remember her being like a sculptor.
She is. She was a blind.
Well, I mean, I'm
artist.
looking at that, but I'm
Yeah.
saying I think in the recesses of my brain, I can remember seeing her in these comics as a sculptor
Yep.
or whatever, whenever she comes up.
Exactly. So
Because it's something about him being made of rock and her.
well, also
sculpting
like
and all
since
this stuff.
she's blind, I think they're going for like she uses her hands and touch, and I think that's
Yeah,
what,
sure.
It's her. Yeah, but the same thing with Rock
Mhm.
too. But so the Silver Surfer lands on her roof and falls in through her overhead window, I guess.
Yeah, that's
and she's
weird,
like,
right?
something fell through my skylight. And she goes and she obviously she can't see, but she hears
Uh-huh.
noises. She's like a voice, like it's moaning. And she's like, she goes and she feels his head, and she's like, he doesn't feel like a regular like man. He feels different from any I've ever felt before. And then he's like, man, I am more than a man. I am the Silver Surfer. I am the Herald of Galactus.
All right, calm down there a little bit.
And
Silver.
so Alicia's like, it is Alicia, right? It's not Alice. Why am I second guessing myself? It is Alicia.
It's Alicia.
Thank you. And she's like, Silver Surfer, Galactus. Like, I don't understand what you're talking about. He's like, what does it matter? Understanding cannot alter the way of destiny. She's like, well, you at least speak like you have a sense of like nobility about you. Like you're kind of like this,
Yeah.
This regal person. And he's like, nobility? I don't even know what that
There
word
is
means.
something very regal about the way he speaks.
He's like, I don't know what that means.
Very
And she goes,
introspective.
oh, okay. And he goes, why do you do not see are all earthlings thus afflicted? Like he asked her that, and
You
she's
don't
like,
see anything.
she's like, no, of course not. Then you really are not from this planet. It's incredible. And he's like, incredible. I don't know that word either. Like there's a lot of words he doesn't know.
Yeah.
She's like, she's trying to take care of him then, because obviously he fell through a
Yeah,
skylight.
sure. Yeah.
So she goes to make him like food, and she's like, are you hungry? Like, let me grab you something to eat. And he's like, hungry?
I
Eat.
only eat rocks.
He's like, can it be that you actually consume these foreign matters? He's like, it's easier. Oh, maybe he does it later. He's just like, it's easier to turn it to energy. And he like just turns everything to energy and like just eats it all.
Yeah.
Silver Surfer. We do see that Galactus is building
He's
this.
fun at parties.
He's very fun
Yeah.
at parties. Is building this
Why
giant.
the cocktail wieners? Just turn them into energy.
He's
Shove them up my butt.
oh man, he's building this giant machine at the top of the
Who is?
Galactus on top of the Baxter building,
Okay.
which is the tallest building there where he's landed.
yeah.
So that's what on the top left.
So he's building a building on top of the building.
He's assembling like a machine on top of the
Okay.
building.
All right.
And it's because what the Watcher then shows them is this machine. It sends out like this energy that'll soak all of the oceans, like the seas, and turn it into pure energy.
Got it.
Like, so it transforms, and then he just
Pure
absorbs
energy.
it all. And it even shows like Jack Kirby did a great job. Like there's a dolphin and like octopus, and they're just like, there's a shark.
Look at them. They're just done.
I think there might even, they're just like, it's all gone. And he's like, then after he consumes that, like he'll use it to like soak up like all the forests and just all the cities and stuff, just anywhere he can find energy.
Yeah.
He's going to consume it there. It'll be the greatest mass evacuation in history. And then eventually, like the human race will have no place left to run. The planet, essentially will be reduced into a empty, lifeless husk. He's like, and then when he's done with that, he's just going to leave you guys. And they're like, then we have to do something like with him building that on top. And they're like, unfortunately, there's only one thing we can do. And out of you all, the Human Torch is the only one who can do it, is what the Watcher tells him. He's like, I can't get involved.
He's got to go up his butt.
No, he's like, I can't get involved, but like I can tell you like how to do it.
Huh.
Oh, that's where
Isn't
the
that
Silver
getting
Surfer,
involved though.
in a way,
I mean, when you break it down, come on, Watcher.
he's just kind of like, well, this exists,
Punk.
but you got to go get it. That's essentially what he's
Whatever.
doing. That's where the Silver Surfer turns it all
He's
into
a
energy.
snitcher.
And then he's like, and all these objects in the room, pictures of sculptures, decorations, they're just all wasteful uses of energy, is what Silver Surfer tells her. She's like, what do you mean? You're destroying something. Why are you being so mean? You mean it in some mad, unbelievable nightmare ish way. You mean it. You intend to destroy Earth. Like they're like, because he goes, oh, before the great Galactus is done, everything shall be reduced to sheer energy.
Yeah.
And she's like, you can't do that. Like we're a humanity. We're people here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like she's the one who is like instilling this into Silver Surfer this whole time. He's like, destroy is merely a word. We simply change things. We change elements into energy, the energy which sustains Galactus. For it is only he that matters. And she's like, no, we all matter. Like every living being matters. Every bird, every beast. This is our world, ours. Perhaps we're not as powerful as your Galactus, but we still have hearts. We have souls. We live, we breathe, we feel. Stan gets to be very comic booky here.
Sure.
He's like, can't you see that? Are you as blind as I?
Oh.
Yeah. And he goes, automatically, the gesturing hands of the Silver Surfer raised this shouting girl as if to silence her forever with a gesture. But then he pauses. Never have I heard such words, since such courage. At last, I know beauty, is what he essentially tells her. Like, you stood up for me, and I found it hot. It's like, I know it's not. I mean, that's reducing it down to a lot.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
No, I get what he's saying. Is like her impassioned speech is like brought in something.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. It's lit a fire in him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she goes, then you were not as soulless as I thought. And he goes like, no. Or she goes, when I felt you at first, like I knew there was something in you, like you can feel these emotions.
Yeah, you're super slick also.
He's like, no, I am what I must be. I serve Galactus.
Yeah.
And she's like, but you don't, but look, like at the city below, there's people there, each of them entitled to life and to happiness. He's like, human, what can that word mean to me? He's like, and yet never have I beheld a species from such a close range. He's starting to see like, oh,
yeah,
there's people here. There's like, the Silver Surfer is starting to realize like what he's doing in a sense of like all this for Galactus.
This is part of his shtick though, right?
It is.
Going forward, it never changes.
No, he doesn't, or he always questions
because he's always questioning these things. He is only to serve Galactus, but he questions. So it's almost like a living hell for him.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
Galactus gets the machine done and he's going to connect the final pieces together. When they connect, the connection's made, nothing happens. And he's like, wait, what's going on? And we notice that the thing is on top and he's ripped off part of it and he kind of uses it to smack Galactus off of it. And Galactus actually falls like off the building. And then they look to, I think he was going to try to wrap up Galactus. And Galactus is just kind of hovering. He doesn't even fall off. He like stops himself and just hovers and floats back up.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't have time for you guys. And he himself sends another beacon up to the cosmos.
Space donut.
And he sends for the Punisher. Now, this is before the actual Punisher shows up. That's a lot later. I think that's Gary Coleman. Or
Gary Coleman. Yeah.
No, not Gary Coleman. Gene Colan. Dang, why am I? Hold on.
Gary Coleman is like.
I hate that I'm doing this.
What you talking about, Silver Surfer?
This is gonna upset me so much.
What you talking about, Galactus?
I never watched that show. Have you ever talked about
watched,
that? I thought it was Gene Colan.
What was it called?
Jerry Conway. Sorry.
Cherry.
I get my GCs and comics mixed up.
What was that show called? Different Strokes. That's what it was.
Yeah. No, Jerry Conway.
It's different.
Punisher.
Different strokes. It's because it's got like an apostrophe in it or something.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Spelled weird.
Huh. But that Punisher came out in 1974, so that's 13 years later.
Okay.
Anyway, so he sends for the Punisher, which is this frog-like alien creature with the Davros helmet on. But he is just pure, like he is a badass. We'll find out. But the Watcher essentially tells him, because Johnny wants to go help, and he's like, no, I need you to do something else. And he tells the Watcher, all right, I'll do whatever you need me to do. Like, if this is how we win. And he goes, you essentially have to travel through the cosmos. Like, I'm going to send you through to like different dimensions. And you're going to have to go back to where Galactus is from to get this weapon. That'll be the only way you guys can stop him.
Sure.
And he goes, trust me, banish fear from your heart. You shall travel by time, space, distration.
It's always about stuff from their home planet.
It is.
Them, Superman, Galactus.
So, and he sends them on another time
Elon
continuum.
Musk.
And the reason it has to be the Silver Surfer, or the Silver Surfer has to be the Human Torch. See, dude, look at that. I love Kirby Space, man. Yeah. Kirby Space is just so badass to me.
Well, it's almost like an MC Escher type thing where the machine goes all weird and curves. And
there's a quote that this is now. I should
quote is flame on.
Yeah, no, it was.
So it is. It's spelled DIFF apostrophe RENT.
Really?
Different.
I can't find this.
Different.
Anyway,
Different.
there was a quote that anyway, I ruin it when I do that. There's a quote at one point in time, and I want to take credit to who it was, but it was, I
John F.
believe that
Kennedy?
once man is able to explore the far reaches of space, like we can go as far as we can travel, and we get to the edge of where like time and space meet. I believe that what was it? Oh, we'll see the signature of Jack Kirby there in the corner.
Right.
Talking about just how well he drew the cosmos. I was just trying to give credit to what it was. I couldn't find it.
New Chevy Silverado.
But there's these so the reason it has to be the Human Torch to go through this is because he's the only one that can fly and maneuver around. But he has to move through these things, celestial barriers known as unlife.
Space puzzles.
To touch them is to perish. So like it's just these waves of energy that if you touch them, they like kill you. So he has to maneuver all around. And he goes back to Galactus's home. The Punisher makes quick work of all the Fantastic Four. Like, there's nothing they can do to get around him. The Thing is no match for him. Mr. Fantastic can't help. All they can do is Sue essentially puts her invisible force field around them to protect her. And even then, like, he's starting to beat through it, and she can only hold it for so much.
He looks like a He-Man bad guy.
A little bit, until Galactus is like, enough, loyal one. Back to your ship. Like, you have served me well. My machine's already done.
Yeah.
And so the three of them just kind of can do nothing but watch as Galactus has finished his machine. And we see then, though, that the Silver Surfer realizes, no, I have to do something. I can't just let Galactus go and do this. Like, there's something I have to do. I can't let him destroy an entire civilization. And so he heads out to go kind of stop Galactus himself, or at least try to talk to him. And that's where the Watcher's confused, is like, oh, I didn't expect the Silver Surfer to be a part of this. Now we'll have to see how this plays into things.
Well, it's our mind staggering conclusion.
It is of our trilogy there.
Staggering.
Mind staggering. And that takes us to issue 50, which is the end of
pose right there.
It is. Here's the thing that's funny though. At last, the Human Torch in college. Don't miss Johnny's first day.
Last.
Well, it's such a funny to. It's like selling the Silver Surfer. And I know at the time they didn't know this would be like, oh yeah, these are characters. They're going to be bigger deals and stuff. But it's just like, we have this huge Galactus story. And then we're also going to wrap it up. And then Johnny's going to go to college.
It's like you have to throw one of those romance comic stories in there or something, or a human interest, whatever.
So Silver Surfer essentially comes to Galactus and tells him,
says, bro,
he's like, yeah, like these are people here. Like, I can't stand by and just let you destroy civilization.
I love that bottom left hand
with him through the smoke there with the crackle, or
Galactus with his head tilted with his hand out.
Yeah,
like that's a classic.
But he essentially, Silver Surfer tells him, like, my power hasn't been tested either. Like, I've just been a herald for you all this time. Like, I'm a cosmic being. I might be just as powerful. Like, if you're not going to not destroy this planet, then I don't want to hurt you, but this is what I can do. And he kind of like unleashes all of his power on Galactus and puts him in like this cocoon, and that solidifies around him.
Right.
Like with all of any, they're like, wow. Like they just sit there and they stare for a bit, and they walk up and like, do you think it's going to hold him? Like, do you think it's going to work? And the thing goes to touch it and like gets electrocuted.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait, quick, back away. It's shattering. It's shattering. And it's just explodes. I love the art so much in this. It was my favorite part, just all the way the colors pop and everything. But just the way he draws it. Oh man, I love Jack Kirby. So the explosion as Galactus like comes out of this cocoon, which is, where is my herald? You have a pissed off Galactus.
Sure you do.
And so Silver Surfer just like shoots everything at him, and Galactus is still easily just letting it all bounce off. He's like, you know, you can see how easily my impenetrable Absorba shield deflects the names.
Impenetrable
Absorba shield deflects your foolish rays of starfire. And now, rebellious one, it is time that I teach you the folly of daring to question the will of your master.
I think I used to live next to a family of Absorba shields.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So there's a big battle between the two.
Guatemalan, I think, of origin.
There's a battle between the two that ensues, And the Watcher can sense that Johnny's getting closer, though, to getting to Earth, to getting them the weapon back they need. So it's kind of like we just need the Silver Surfer to hold off Galactus long enough for Johnny to get there. And when Johnny comes through and comes back to his actual time, he like collapses in exhaustion, both physically and mentally, because his mind, like the Watcher says, like the human mind was not meant to process everything he saw. Like he talks about like he's in shock from it all. And like he sits there as he like collapses on Reed and he's like, we're like ants, just like ants, man. Like there's, he's like just has this realization, like, all right, here, like they just try to lay him down, and Reed grabs the weapon from that Johnny has there. And the Watcher stops him and tells him, like, you never must turn this control lever to full power because it could erase the entire solar system in 1 microsecond. Like, this thing is, you have power in your hands.
Yeah.
He goes, now heed me as I tell you what must be done. And we go back to Silver Surfer and Galactus fighting. And, what is it? The humans, of course, by imperiling them, I shall force you to surrender. And like Silver Surfer, I guess, is like putting like barriers over on top of these buildings to kind of like protect the humans. And about that time, Reed or Mr. Fantastic, he goes, oh, Galactus tells him, I can tarry no longer. Galactus yields to none. Upon your own head shall be your fate. I regret what I must do. For all who live, I have cherished you the most. But now by my hand, the Silver Surfer shall perish. And Mr. Fantastic tells him, no, Galactus, it is you who will perish. And he like holds the weapon up to him, which we find out is called the Ultimate Nullifier is the name of this weapon.
All right.
And he's like, for we found a weapon at last. And he's like, no, the Ultimate Nullifier in the hands of a human. He's like, what? How dare you let the creatures like this possess such power?
You can't do that.
Like he tells the Watcher.
I mean, it is the ultimate nullifier.
And he tells him, he's like, I agree. Like these beings are just children, but like our races, our civilizations had to start out somewhere else too. Like just like these human beings here. Like, so they did. And then he goes, consider the courage like they display trying to stand up to you, man. Like realize that they're worth giving a shot to, essentially is what the Watcher tells him. And he goes, but what of Galactus? What of the limitless energies that like I have? And the Watcher tells him, why not just go find another planet then? Like, you can do this. Like you doesn't have to be there more. You have enough energy to go out there and find another planet, kind of essentially. The universe is endless, destroying, where he goes, we both know full well that the universe is endless. Destroying a race cannot be the answer. And he goes, I grow weary. The prize is not worth the battle. Like he's talking about Earth here. Yeah. And he goes, let the humans surrender the weapon and I shall be here no longer. And Reed's just like, what? And the Watcher tells him like, no. And this kind of goes into your point of like, Galactus isn't good or evil. Like the Watcher tells him like his word, it can never be questioned. Like Galactus only speaks the truth. So if he tells you that he's going to leave, if you give that to him, he's going to leave if you give it to him.
Right.
So Reed kind of hands it over and he gets ready to leave. And he goes, so for the first time since the dawn of memory, my will has been thwarted, but I bear no malice. Emotion is for lesser beings. And he's going to stop. He says emotions are for lesser beings. Still doesn't mean Galactus isn't going to be a little petty.
Sure.
And he goes, yet there's one thing that must be done. And he shoots rays from his eyes through Silver Surfer and says, since you shall be herald to Galactus no longer, I remove your space-time powers. Henceforth, the Silver Surfer shall roam the galaxies no more. And the Galactus then, just using his cosmic power, just kind of disappears and puts everything back like it was before he leaves, as they notice that he's gone now. And the Silver Surfer is there, sneaking up on Ben because he's like, I wonder where that guy is. And Silver Surfer is actually kind of nice to him. And Ben's like ready to like be mean to him and hate the Silver Surfer and not like him because of everything that happened. But he like kind of feels for the Silver Surfer in a way. And then Alicia runs up excited, but she hears the Silver Surfer talking. So she goes to him and she's like, you did it. I knew you could do it. Like you had it in you to humanity. Like I knew there was no ability. Like I sensed it and you showed me. And the Thing kind of sees that and he's like, yeah, no, of course Alicia would be into a guy like the Silver Surfer. Like, yeah, he just.
Well, it's also because Ben doubts himself all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Dude, I came across, we talked about Greg Land once a couple weeks ago when I was drawing. I came across a Greg Land drawn Fantastic Four comic where it is so sad. Like Ben Grimm has this like moment where like a breakdown to Johnny where he's telling him, he's like, when was the last time Reed ran a test to like fix anything about me? Like he's given up. He's like, there's not like I'm stuck like this forever. And he's like, he tells, it's gonna get dark. I apologize, but he's like, he goes, I would try to, he tells me, he's like, I would try to like, unalive myself if the razors didn't break every time I used them. Like he just flat out tells him that.
Yeah.
He's like, do you think instead of trying to find like a fix that like Reed could just find a way to like, for me to end it all? Like it's a very dark kind of, and it gets like, he's always, it's not that, but that's the very dark side or the, one extent of it. But Ben has always like questioned that. Like he's wanted his humanity back more than anything.
Sure.
And like that's one of the things that's just kind of sad about it, is like he helps them and he does so much, but he just wants to be normal so bad.
Well, if you've seen the the Fantastic Four trailer that's out, you realize that Ben keeps that up with his cooking and all of that kind of stuff. He just wants to be a normal person.
It is. And like that's the thing that he's always wanted to. Well, I love the way that they showed it. I love that he's wearing like a top hat and a trench coat, because that's very much, remember the very first issue when he walks into that store, he's wearing
the classic thing he wears whenever he goes out into people.
But it does such a great job of showing him like as his test pilot self too.
Well, and it's also that reflection in the TV on the
it's so well in the trailer.
Very good.
Anyway,
well
so he thinks that to himself, and the thing's just like, I can't even blame her. Like I get what she sees in him, kind of thing. And he just goes and leaves. And as she leaves, or as the thing's leaving, Alicia's like, "Hey,
but I am rock hard."
He says. She's like, "You need to meet all the others. Like, where are the others at?" And he's like, "Well, the young one is like fainted, and they've taken him to a rest."
Yeah.
And she goes, "Well, you need to meet Ben. Like, Ben's the greatest guy ever, man. Like, dude, Ben is so like." She's like talking him up.
Huh?
And he's like, "Where?" And he goes, "Well, I think the one that you said named Ben is like, following after him."
Gone.
And she goes, "Oh, well, then let's go meet him." And he's like, "No, my place is in the skies, like not here." And so he leaves her, and she's just kind of like stuck on the roof, like having to like go down the stairs.
And
it's
she's
just
blind.
Ben, where are you?
Thanks, guys.
It's Alicia. Ben, why don't you answer? Where have you gone? And we do, like, it closes out and it sets up a new story after that.
Leave the blind girl on the roof.
But the one thing that I do want to show, just because it leads to one of my favorite panels, that
oh yeah, look at you.
I'm going to show here in a second. That's the very next issue because it goes off of this. But the thing is obviously having like a question of just like he just wants to be normal. Like everybody's afraid.
He's got
of me,
that inside fight the entire time.
He does, and what it sets up, Johnny goes to college, yada yada, all that.
Oh, thank God.
We're not going to talk about that, but what it does lead us
Batman?
to.
Who was that?
Black Bolt.
Okay. Oh, he's one of the Inhumans, isn't he?
Yeah.
Hey, how about that?
But as it does go to issue 51, it does have this monster.
Yeah.
Which has one of my favorite panels in any comic book right there, man.
That one,
I just wanted to throw it
rain.
in there. It just like the thing just looks
with the rain, his big diaper.
I love that. This monster. That is one of my favorites. But anyway,
cool.
So that right there is the
Silver
first
Surfer is
time.
one of my all-time favorites, just simply because I got into it more than I did anything else, and it's the introspection of the Silver Surfer that really that I really enjoyed. You couldn't find that in other comic book heroes at the time.
Yeah.
And we're talking probably 80s, 90s, that kind of time frame.
Yeah.
All the comics at that time were very splashy and very big muscly whatevers, and women with no clothes on and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Silver Surfer was never that way. It was more of it was almost like reading philosophy at times.
A little bit. I think Stan loved to like do the questioning.
It was great.
And that's some of the cool things to look at is in like the artist edition of these things where it has, because Kirby would write like dialogue suggestions in the gutters before he turned it in. So he like kind of framed the story up for Stan. But in this case with Silver Surfer, Kirby was very more direct. Like it was still the same thing. Yeah. But Stan loved to like, write that lilting kind of dialogue.
Oh, sure.
Worked for.
Yeah. No, it was great. It was great. And there are some series of Silver Surfer in the later days that that are very good.
Yeah, I will say. Well,
and it
you're
uses that very
a
much so.
big Mobius fan, aren't you?
I love that Mobius series. Yeah, I thought that was a really good.
I
one.
am. I
'Cause
do.
It's very simplistic.
I did save something that I wanted to play
Yeah,
at least here.
let's
At the
do
end.
that.
So in the movie Crimson Tide, I don't know if anybody knows this or not.
Oh,
There's a
ties
scene.
right in.
Yeah, I know. You're not the 1995 submarine action movie, Crimson Tide.
And I told you before we started that I got it mixed up with Hunt for Red October because I think they're the same damn movie for the most part.
No, you did.
There's two submarine movies that came out pretty close to each
It's
other.
the 90s, yeah.
It was the 90s. Everybody was in a submarine.
But there's a scene in there where two of the shipmates, two of the crewmen get into a fight.
Yeah. Seaman?
And Denzel Washington is like their superior, and like he goes to stop one of them who's like going away from this, like they shove a little bit and they yell at each other and he just kind of leaves, and he goes to like stop him, and he's like, hey, like, you know, you're an officer, like you can't act like that, like you got to be cool and calm, like what was that even about? And he's just like, I'm embarrassed, I don't even want to tell you what the argument was about. He's like, no, I'm telling you, like, what was it? And he goes, well, like, I'm a big comic book fan, and I told him that like Jack Kirby's Silver Surfer is the only Silver Surfer, and he's like a Mobius fan, and he was telling me how Mobius Silver Surfer is the better Silver Surfer.
It is pretty damn
right. And so they go back and forth, and he's just like, and so like that's what it's for. To which Denzel Washington replies
You
with,
have to set an example even in the face of stupidity. Now everybody that reads comic books knows that Kirby Silver Surfer is the only true Silver Surfer. Now am I right or wrong?
You're right, sir.
All right, get out of here.
Yes, sir.
I just had to include that.
That's funny.
But to say that we will cover Parable, which is the Mobius Silver Surfer this year.
Oh, cool.
I told Mike we would do it.
Love it.
I'll even tell you when, Mike. I was planning on doing that around your birthday.
Oh, very nice.
So,
aren't you sweet?
So in May, if you want to like circle it, we will do Mobius Silver Surfer.
That's awesome. I love it. I haven't seen it in years and years, so it may be garbage. But at the time, it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen.
But so I wanted to hunt that down and do that for Mike. That does it for
I've seen
this
a lot
week's
of
episode.
Since, so you know,
it's got to be better than that. That does it for this week's main episode. Our World's Finest Wednesday will be also Fantastic Four related as we look at the first time we meet Dr. Doom, and that involves time travel, Mike.
Dr. Doom?
It involves time travel.
All right.
But it's the cast and crew that we've covered already, so you will be familiar
with
the
Do you like time travel
Four.
Stuff?
Sometimes when it's Superman wrapping up Batman for them to go back in time and him like biting through a wood plank.
But like
and,
when you think about about time travel movies.
No. It can be done. It can be done well, but no, not really.
You know what I don't like about time travel movies?
Everything.
Or time travel in general in movies?
What's that?
Is the fact that I have to see the same scene over and over. It's the same thing as like whenever you tell me a story from 3 different characters' point of view.
Yeah.
I have to see the same damn scene over and over.
Yeah, no.
It's just from a different angle.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Or I heard that he said that time.
You can do it well though.
Sure, it can be.
It can be done well. That does it for us this week. Thank you, as always, for taking the time out to listen and to watch. If you haven't, go and vote yet. I'm pretty sure that those who have voted are going to vote. But if you haven't, go vote for. It's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy, Mike. It looks like. I know. But also make sure you check out all the great podcasts on the Rogue Media Network family of podcasts.
RogueMediaNetwork.com.
Make sure to check out more Fantastic Four on Wednesday. And until next time, stay safe, everybody.
Yeah, well, golly con.
Frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about Frozen heroes. Gonna tell you about.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.